Alright, muchachos. So we're going to do problem 4.03, num2 letter. Alright, so this problem assumes that you've done all the previous theory because they're all intertwined in some ways. And if you skip ahead, you're just going to be probably spoiling the previous problem, right? Anywho, let's just get started with num arrow letter, right? Num2 letter. So where's the problem statement? Here it is. So notice how the number grade data definition below has been revised to describe in more details sets on intervals. So as you can see, there are a lot more sets of intervals here in contrast to the old data definition for number grade, which is right over here. It just says that it's a natural number between 0 and 100, all right? So this one's a lot more detailed than that. It gives the sets and as to what they mean, all right? So a number between 80 exclusive and 100 inclusive, like 81 or 90 or 100, means A, and same for the others, right? So a number between like 60 exclusive and 80 inclusive means B, etc., etc., etc. All right, so the problem is write a template for number grade. And here's a hint: if you've never dealt with how to determine if a number falls within a set of intervals before, we're going to use this, all right, soon enough. Okay, so pause the video, all right, so, and try to work it on your own. Natural number grade is a natural number that falls into one of, all right? Again, hint, hint, hint. So what do you do when you see a one of? Well, we go over spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. We just write a cond that has the matching number of cases corresponding to the number of cases in the data definition. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 here. So therefore we have to write a cond with 5 cases. So let's just do the number grade temp takes in an ng, and we have to do the cond with 5 cases, right? Just don't even think. This should be a very mechanical step, because if you think, especially if you're a beginner, if you think, you kind of lost in the sense that you're going to be thinking way too hard. Again, these set of steps should be very mechanical. You just blindly follow through them, and they'll sort of just doing it, just by virtue of doing it, it'll help you build the mental scaffolding needed to do the more difficult steps. These two are probably the most difficult steps. All right, this is where, your creativity and intuition and ingenuity comes into play. All right. Anywho, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases. So we have to now distinguish between what number falls into these sets of intervals. So let's just go to the cheat sheet right over here. I already copied and pasted the link. So right over here. So we just find a interval right here that matches, what it looks like on ours. So in this case, I know that it's the left parentheses with a right bracket matching on the right side. As you can see here, left and right, all right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy the expression and then use it and, replace the numbers. There we go. So just double checking. All right, go. Except for this last one, which requires the 2 double inclusive intervals. I'll explain that briefly. So there we go. I would do something. So there we go. Just kind of copy and paste 5 times. 2, 3, up. There we go. So now let's just start going off. So 80 and 100. So this is 100 on the right side. This needs to be 80. Let's keep going. Next is 60 and 80. 60 and 80. Up, 80. Next is 40 and 60. So 40 and 60. 40 and 60. Next is 20 and 40. So 20 and 40. And then finally we have the 2 inclusive ones. So I happen to know off the top of my head that you have to do an equal sign when you want to include the inclusive interval, right? So we want to include the 0. So 0 and 20. 20. There we go. Okay. So now, let's see. We are pretty much done. All right, we're going to do something. Right, this is just the template step. We're going to use that in the problem B section right over here. So let's just mark ourselves done for that. Again, very mechanical. And I know this might piss some of you guys off, but we found that it works best when teaching beginning students. Anywho, let's just get started with problem B. So design a num arrow letter function that consumes a number grade and produces a letter grade based on the following intervals described by the interpretation. So it means this step here, right? This interpretation step. All right, so pause the video. I'm gonna go over spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right. So there should have been enough mental scaffolding here, but since this is the first time I'm introducing this concept, don't fret yourself too much if you don't get it the first time, right? So anywho, let's just start with the design functions recipe as always. So the function's name is num arrow letter, and it consumes a number grade and produces a letter grade based on the following intervals described by the interpretation, as you can see right here. So the purpose is produces the corresponding letter. I'm gonna capitalize my type names. Produces the corresponding letter grades based on the given intervals above. All right. So as you can see, there are non-standard types here. So let's consume a num grade. So we know that it's going to be, a number in between these sets of ranges, but we also know that it produces a letter grade. Therefore, we have to go trace as to what it is, right over here. So letter grade is A, B, C, D, or F. All right. So it's going to produce a string in a sense, but we're trying to be as specific as we can right here. All right, so that's the signature, that's the purpose. Let's just keep going. Next is the stub, so num arrow letter. Takes in an ng, I'm just gonna call it that. You can make it, one letter if you want to. And a dummy letter grade is just like A, right? All right, so that's the first step done. Let's just keep going. So there we go. Next are the examples. So check expect num arrow letter. So let's say what happens if we're given 100, right? Well, as we can see in the interval chart right over here, if we're including 100, then we're going to get A. So we should get string A, right? The letter grade A. And I also noticed I spelled this wrong. So we just fix that. All right, let's just keep going for all the other ones. So we always want to test the boundaries of the interval. So we want to test this 80 right here, such that it means B, because we're excluding 80 from A. And while we're at it, let's also make sure that 81 also falls into being an A. All right, so there we go. So 81, and then next is going to be 80. That should be a B, all right? What's the lowest bound for a B again? I forgot. I'm gonna scroll up and check really quickly after I paste a lot of these in. All right, so let's see. That's the higher. 80 is the higher bound. What's the lower bound again? 61. So 61. And then 60 should be a C. All right, just gonna sort of split this out a little. All right, so what is the other bound for C again? So 60 is probably the higher bound. 40 is the lower bound, so 41 should be falling into C, and then 40 should fall into D. Let's see. And then 21 should fall into D as well. That's the lower bound. All right. And then 20 should fall into F, because we're excluding again. This parentheses means excluding. So 20 should fall into F. So we need one more set of tests. So there we go. It's going to go here. And F. And F. So 20 should fall into F. And then something like 0 should also fall into F. And yeah. All right. So now let's just run these tests to make sure there are no typos. Let's see. N, this variable is not defined. Oh, I need to put ng, whoops, in the template, my bad. So ng, because the input variable is ng, it's looking for n and it can't find it anywhere. So let's just fix this. There we go. All right, now the tests fail, but it doesn't look like there are any typos, all right? All right, all good. So now let's just mark ourselves done for those steps. So the examples are done. Now let's code the body, all right? So let's see. We're going to copy the template. There should have been a template here, step here. So anywho, we're going to base the code off of this template right here, right? From its input. So let's just do that. All right, so now really pause the video because this should be all the mental scaffolding needed. I'm going to delete the stub. Needed to solve problem B. All right, so I'm going to go with spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. All right. So it's just a really direct mapping. So this should produce the string A. And the next one should produce the string B. Next one should produce the string C. And then D. D, and then F. So this should be the right answer. All the tests should pass. Up, I forgot to rename the template as the name of the function, so num arrow letter. Let me just do that. There we go. And now run. And so all the 10 tests pass. As a side note here, we can also, for this last case, we can write an else, right? Because we don't really have to test. If it's not an A, it's not a B or a C or D. In the last case, we can just do else F. And this should also pass. All right, this is the simplification. Either one is fine, but we recommend just doing the very mechanical steps first and then doing simplifications later because it's always easier that way. Anywho, let's just submit this on the website. So it was called, what was it called? Num2 letter, so 4.03. There we go. Password is U. And let's go check our score. So there we go. HTTPS. There we go. I don't know why that took so long to load. So user 2, U. And we see that num2 letter, we got a 10 out of 10. All right. So just to recap again one last time, the structure of the code right over here follows the structure of the data. There's this sort of visual similarity here going on. And again, these steps should be very mechanical, right? Just don't even think. They should build a mental scaffolding anyways for the future problems as problems get harder. But these 2 steps are what really is going to take the longest time. Anywho, let's just check ourselves off for these 2 steps. Make sure I have everything spaced. Control I to redent everything. And all good. So one last piece of useful information, and that is to always use the stepper if you want to understand code. Make sure that you really understand the code that's going on, all right? So we're just going to run the stepper on this code, and it's going to take a while to load because it's going to go run through all the tests. And we do have a lot of tests over here, right? So this is going to go up to like 100 and something, all right? And this is why I say that you should always comment out the tests that, pass and only focus on the one that fails. So let's say, for some reason this test fails, right? And I'm just going to make it deliberately fail by saying that this is like a B or something, all right? And, it's like a big program and you're kind of confused as to how this is getting processed step by step. Well, you're probably in the mental mindset that, you can't really describe what's going on. You think you're right, but you have to be humble and sort of just run it through, let the computer run it through. And that's what the stepper is for. So I'm just going to run this, right? It's going to say as this one fails because we made it deliberately fail, but we don't want to step through like 100 or so steps in the stepper. So therefore, this is why I always comment out the ones that, pass already. So I can only focus on the ones that fail, which is line 81. So there we go. There we go. Up. There we go. All right, so that one fails. All good. And now we go back to the stepper and press step again. We just close it and open it again. It's gonna take a little load. There we go. It's only like 10 steps that you have to step through. And now you can finally debug what's going on as you step through the function. So num2letter, when given 60, will expand to this, where the variable name is substituted for the number. So and is 60 greater than 80, false. So there we go. As long as and is given 1 false, it'll just exit early because it doesn't even need to test this one, because it needs both of them to be true in the first place for it to produce true. So it doesn't even bother. Right? It's like, all right, first one is false. I don't care anymore. Anyways, we can just keep going, and we can see that our bug is right over here, where we get true is C, and then you'll see that, hey, C doesn't equal B, and you can see how you got there as well. All right, so very helpful for debugging, as you might need this when you go along, when you're stuck on a problem and you're like in the mindset that like, hey, I feel like I'm right, but I'm doing something wrong, and you kind of don't want to admit it in a way. I don't know if anyone feels that way. But anywho, that's about it for this one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching, human. If you wish to interact with more of your kind, join our Discord linked in the description or on screen. If you want to aid in my quest for world domination, consider hitting the sub button. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, thumbs down if you didn't. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, fire away below. Also, check out the annotations on screen for the next relevant video.